Hello again, everyone. This is James from Project Rowing. This is a coxing recording that someone posted on Reddit, wanted a little bit of advice, so we're going to listen to it, give our impressions as we go. So I'm basically just going to hit play, and every time I have something that I want to kind of comment on, I'm going to stop it, and I'll move it forward from there. So let's get started.
Legs 1, legs 2, legs 3, legs 4, legs 5. That's 1, 37, 2, 38.
Okay, so right off the bat, I like the calls that you're making. I'm not crazy about the intonation. I want something that kind of says a little bit more. It's got to have that kind of kick to it. It's got to be business. It can't kind of be conversational. You're in a race. You have to set the tone that you use, your voice, that atmosphere, that feeling that you create needs to reflect the intensity of the race, the seriousness, the focus that you want to see out of your rowers. Made a call for the rate right off the start. That's good. That's don't get too bogged down in that. We're going to keep listening here. We'll get through the start, and then I'll kind of give a few more of my impressions. But right off the bat, I wanted to make a comment on tone.
3, breathe. 4, breathe. 5, here we go. 6, 38. 7, breathe. 8, holding knees. 9, 10, 10 more. It's 1, 37. 2, breathing. 3, legs. 4, swinging. 5, 37. 6, shot. 7, shot. 8 and 2 shift. That's 1, 37, 2 and lengthen. Jumping down. I'm sitting even with the Sam G. Squeezing through. We're sitting on 45 seconds in. Kick.
So I like a lot of what I heard there. You're doing a good job of making the calls. And good job. I think the intensity is a little bit better than it was at the start, so that's good. You made the call for lengthen. I like that word. You said 37 a few times. If the rate is 37 and that's what you want to hit, don't need to talk about the actual number. Use that. You have a limited amount of time, and if you're looking to get every ounce out of your coxing calling, you don't want to be redundant. If you want to say, rate's good, right on the rhythm, give them positive reinforcement. Don't just give them a number. You're not just the guy saying this bit of information. Here you go, guys. It's much more about what they can do. A lot of the time, and especially in the heat of competition, you don't want them to be thinking about 20 different. You want to say, all right, rate is good, because then they don't need to think about that. And if you're kind of minimizing the things that they have going through their head, that allows and frees them up to think about what they need to do.
Down. Kick down. Good, holding our eyes to stern here. Sitting half a seat down. They're trying to drive it to pull it past. 1 minute down. Kick sha. Kick sha. Good, holding our legs. Then squeezing through. All the way through to the release. Yeah, right on. Good, kicking it down. Kick down. Kick down. Good, we're sitting on a 32 and a half. If we don't walk on them now, we're not gonna get this piece. We have to hold the legs now to fucking walk, boys. We're sitting on a minute 30 in and walking. Good, kick down. Kick down. Boys, we have to move now. In 2, we're gonna take 5 for legs to pull.
Okay, so you're trying to build them up to a move, and you told them, hey, if we don't do this now, we're not going to do it. You kind of want to build this up in a slightly different way. You need to be saying, all right, boys, here it is. We get to make the decision now. Where do you want to be? Do you want to, and you can talk to them a little bit. Build up the moment. Let them know that it's coming. Get them all ready so that when you call for that shift, everyone's committed. That's what you're really trying to do. You're trying to get them to say, okay, at this point in the race, I'm a little tired. I've gotten through our start. I'm into our rhythm. Maybe they're starting to have doubts. You're saying, hey, we need to unify. We need to make sure everyone's on board for this next move, right? And this is another area where the tone can come in. You can bring your tone down. you can start to speak in kind of a hushed voice of intensity. But you want them to know, like, you can't be screaming at them the whole time. You need to make sure that you kind of use the tone in the right places. And I think that's what distinguishes a good coxswain, which you clearly are very knowledgeable and you know what you're doing here. But between, if you want to make that next step in your coxswain expertise, being able to play with the tone, bring it down, get them together, get them focused in. You kind of use that hush voice because they're like, oh, I want to hear this. I want to listen. You get them in the boat. All right. Because if you have to talk about the other boat, right? You have to say, hey, we're down on them. But you don't want that focus to be too lost to what is going on around them. You want them to be focused in. So you say what you can do as a boat to make that next effect. And that's the difference there.
Pull it down. That's 1. Ready? 2 on this one. Legs 1. Legs 2. Legs 3. Legs 4. Leg 5. I'm sitting on 32, 150 in. We're sitting half a seat down and driving. Good, holding our eyes to stern and locking the blades. If we hold this, boys, we can get this piece. Drive it down. Good, drop it. Sitting on a 33, 2 minutes.
So again, don't say, if we hold this, say this, we hold them here. You make that into statements, you make them clean, very direct, they know what's going on. Not this if stuff. Don't give them the ability to make that decision. You want to make that decision for them. Tell them, this is what we're going to do.
Dan, we have a minute 30 to walk on them. Let's start now.
And again, with the tone, just to make it absolutely clear, that was a perfect example of you're trying to have a conversation with them in that moment. That's a point where you don't want to get yelly. You want to get them excited with the hush tone, and then when they make that shift, when they bring that power, that's when you say that thing. So it's something like, an example of that call would be like, all right, boys, here we are. We're sitting, seat down. This is going to be our move. This is where we take them in the next step. Into, give me what you have. Make it count. That's 1. That's 2. And then you get really into it. So making sure that you are able to use the tone to build the anticipation, letting them know when that shift is coming.
Drive down! Drive down! Good, length and power. We're sitting on a 32 and a half. Sitting on 215. We're driving it through and walking it down. Good, here we go. Boys, we're walking up on 1 minute left here, and we have to move now. We can get this piece, you hear that? In 2 and a take 10. That's 1 to pull it back. That's 2, now. 1, drive it. 2, 3, 50 seconds. 4, 33. 5, now. 6, swing. 7, 33. 8, drive. 9, and 10. Good. Drive home, boys. Drive.
So I think one of the hardest things for coxswains to do is coming off a 10, how to keep that focus going. And we don't want to see, in our crews, we don't want to see them do a 10 and then drop off. To me, like every time I have a junior crew and I'm telling them, what they should do for a race, I always say, wait until the end of another crew's 10 or the tail end of their 10 and then hit them on the back end of the 10. It's the classic, knock them while they're down. For your crew, what you always want to do is make sure that the tail end of your 10 doesn't end in a drop off. And so as a coxswain, it's really important how you call that 10, making sure that they're not thinking, okay, we did that and now we get a time to rest. It's, make sure that you're kind of looking for the next thing for them to focus on. Don't let that tone drop huge amount. Staying long right here, bringing the momentum. You want to talk about carrying the momentum of that 10 through. The same idea when you're on the erg, you always want to be negative splitting. 10s shouldn't so much be these kind of like spurts of energy that kind of then drop off. They should really be the shift, the like move for a little bit more speed as you get closer to the finish of a piece, because you don't want to lose that speed after you hit that 10. So make sure that you're giving them something to focus on. You're keeping that momentum going.
Boom. We're sitting on 35 seconds. In 2 we shift. That's 1 and 2. Open. Kick now. Good. Open rate. In 2 we black out 10. That's 1. Ready. 2 now. 138. 2, drive. 3, blocking. 4, open. 5, sitting 1 seat down. 6, 7, 8, 10 seconds. 9 and 10. Good luck, boys. Drive home. Drive home. Locking the blades and sending them back. Sitting even. Last strokes.
So it's good. I mean, I think you obviously have a lot of experience coxing. You know how to kind of get people excited. I think it's really these small things with tone, trying to carry the momentum through your tens, making sure that you're bringing the tone down before a move, kind of framing everything in the right way. So all the different things that we talked about. But yeah, I think you're 80% of the way there, but it's that 80-20 idea of work where 80% of the work takes 20% of the effort, and that last 20% of the work takes 80% of the effort. So, getting to that next step of coxing skill, it's going to take a lot of study. It's going to take doing things like this, listening to other people's opinions. And by all means, my, information that I'm giving you here is not the end all be all. Definitely seek out more people that are going to help you with this stuff. But those are just my impressions from listening to it here. So best of luck. I hope your teams do well this season. And if you have any more questions, feel free to look me up. I'm Project Rowing on Twitter, and I like to troll around the Reddit message board. So definitely, if you have any more questions, feel free to look, and I hope this helps.